Before we begin, I want to tell you what this channel is really about. This isn't a place where I just summarize books. This is a place where I slow down, think out loud, and try to understand why certain ideas quietly change our lives. Hi, I'm Komal, and this is Read with Komal Preet. Here, we don't rush chapters, we don't chase motivation. We sit with stories, ideas, and moments that make us stop and say, wait, that's me. And today we are going to start Atomic Habits Chapter 1. This chapter isn't about habits yet, it's about something deeper. What it feels like to try for years, to show up, to put in efforts, and still remain average. And that's why I don't want to explain this chapter with definitions. I want to start it the same way the book does, with a story. Because honestly, this story explains the entire book better than anything else ever. So, for almost 100 years, British cycling was stuck. Not beginners, not fools, just average. Since 1908, they had managed to win only one Olympic gold medal. And when it came to the Tour de France, which is the biggest cycling race in the world, not a single British cyclist had ever won it. Not once in more than 100 years. And here is the part that really hit me. They were so unimpressive that one of the top bike manufacturers in Europe refused to sell bikes to the British team. The reason? They were scared that if professional cyclists saw their bikes being used by this team, it would actually damage their brand image. Just imagine being in that position when you are trying, you are working, you are showing up, but results just aren't coming. You are not failing loudly, you are failing quietly. And if we are being honest, that's exactly where most of us are in life. Then in 2003, a man named Dave Brailsford was hired as a new performance director. And what I love about this part is he didn't come in promising miracles. He didn't say, we will win everything next year. He didn't say, we need extreme motivation. Instead, he came up with one very boring idea. He said, what if we try to improve everything by just 1%? And I'll be honest. When I first heard this, I almost ignored it because 1% doesn't sound powerful. It doesn't sound inspiring. It sounds like something that won't even be noticeable. But this small idea ended up changing everything. Brailsford called this approach the aggression of marginal gains. A very big name, but a simple meaning. All it meant was this: break everything down into small pieces and improve each piece just a little. Not 50%, not overnight success, just tiny improvements everywhere. So instead of saying, let's win the Tour de France, they asked a different question: what actually goes into winning a race? And then they started attacking those pieces one by one. So what they did is they redesigned bike seats to make them more comfortable. They tested different tires, they adjusted riding positions, experimented with nutrition, and tracked recovery. But they didn't stop at the obvious stuff. They tested different massage gels to see which one helped muscles recover faster. They brought in biofeedback sensors to understand how riders' body responded to stress. They even hired a surgeon, not a coach, to teach cyclists the best way to wash their hands so they wouldn't get sick. Yes, hand washing. They figured out which pillow and mattress helped each rider sleep better. They tested fabrics in tunnels. They switched riders to indoor racing suits that reduced air resistance. And one of my favorite details, they painted the inside of the team truck white, not for design, not for branding, but so they could easily spot dust particles that might interfere with the bikes. Now, if I tell someone this casually, they would laugh because it sounds ridiculous, it sounds obvious, and it sounds too small to matter. But that's exactly why it worked. And this is where I want to pause and talk to you directly. Most of us are not stuck because we lack motivation. We are stuck because we are obsessed with big moves, big changes, big transformations. So we ignore the small things because they don't feel important. And
This is where we fail because progress quietly hides in those small things which we ignore. Now, here is what happened. 5 years after Brailsford took over, British cycling dominated 2008 Beijing Olympics. They won about 60% of all gold medals available in cycling. 4 years later, at London Olympics, they didn't just win, they broke records, 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. That same year, a British cyclist named Bradley Wiggins won the Tour de France for the first time in history. The next year, Chris Froome won it. Then he won it again, and again, and again. Then, within 10 years, British cyclists won 178 world championships and 66 Paralympics and Olympic gold medals. And suddenly, people started calling it genius. But here is the real question: how did something so small created it so massive? Why do tiny improvements which barely feel like progress ended up changing everything? And this is where the chapter slowly stops talking about cycling and starts talking about you and me. We are taught to believe that success comes from one defining moment, the breakthrough, the big decision, the overnight transformation. But here is the truth no one tells us: success is rarely one big moment, it's usually a long buildup of tiny decisions, so small they feel meaningless, boring repetitions done consistently over time. And this is where time becomes important. Let me explain this simply. If you get 1% better every day for a year, you don't end up 365% better, you end up 37 times better. Why? Because improvement compounds, and compounding just means growth builds on itself. Today's improvement adds to yesterday's, tomorrow builds on today. But the same thing works in reverse. If you get 1% worse every day through small bad decisions, you don't crash instantly. You slowly decline, quietly, invisibly, and that's dangerous. This is why habits are called compound interest of self improvement. On any single day, your habits doesn't seem to matter much. But zoom out, look at them over years. Saving a little money every month doesn't feel exciting. Going to gym doesn't show results immediately. Reading a few pages a day doesn't make you smart overnight. So we stop. And here is the problem: good habits have delayed rewards, bad habits have delayed consequences. You eat junk today, nothing happens. You skip one workout, nothing happens. You procrastinate today, you still survive. But repeat that long enough, and suddenly you are confused about how things went wrong. A lot of theory, right? Now understand this in a simple way. The impact of habits is like adjusting the direction of an airplane. If a plane flying from Los Angeles to New York changes direction by just 3.5 degrees, nothing feels different at takeoff. But over distance and time, it lands in Washington, D.C. Completely different city. Similarly, changes doesn't feel important in the moment, but they decide where you will end up. That's why where you are right now doesn't matter as much as the direction you are heading. Pilot could have felt successful at the point when he adjusted 3.5 degrees, but now we know he's on a wrong path. What matters is trajectory, which means direction over time. Time doesn't change things, it reveals them. Good habits make time your friend, bad habits make time your enemy. Here is why we most give up too early. Imagine an ice cube on a table. The room temperature rises slowly: 25 degrees, 26, 27, nothing happens. 28, 29, 30 degrees, still nothing. 31, you think this is not working. Then 32 degrees, the ice melts. The breakthrough didn't happen on 32 degrees, it was built by every degree before it, from 25 to 32. This gap between efforts and result is called the plateau of latent potential. Your work is not wasted, it is stored. And when you finally break through, people call it overnight success. Here are more examples like bamboo tree grows under the ground for 5 years. Like literally nothing on the ground can be seen. And after 5 years, it shoots up to 90 feet in air just in 6 weeks. One more example. Cancer spends 80% of its life undetectable, then takes over the whole body in months. Tectonic plates move slowly for years before an earthquake hits. Change is slow, then sudden. Now the chapter ends with a powerful shift. For years, the author set goals, and some worked, many didn't. Eventually, he realized something important. Goals don't create success, systems do. Now, what is the difference between setting a goal and creating a system? Is goals tell you where to go, systems tell you how to live. Just recall the British cyclists. They had the same goal for years to win gold medal in Olympic. And just by setting goals didn't create success for them. What made them win gold medal was system, a system of continuous small improvements. So, winners and losers have the same goal. What separates them is what they daily do. Goals create temporary change. Goals delay happiness. Like you say, once I get there, once I get in my dream shaped body. Goals conflict with long term process. Systems solve this because systems focus on identity and consistency. So, if you feel stuck, don't blame yourself. You are not broken, your system just needs work. So, keep in mind small habits don't change your life overnight, they change your direction. And given enough time, direction changes everything. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to Read with Komal Preet, and share it with someone who might need this today. In the next video, we will continue chapter 2 where we will talk about how habits shape our identity. I'll see you there.